The EFX Motions by Arturia is a new plugin that is designed to add movement to your sounds. You can draw curves and envelopes and essentially animate any sound, creating automations, adding movement and feel to your music. The plugin works in real time, so you can apply this to essentially any audio source that you have, and essentially allows you to turn a very simple idea into something that's more evolving, more captivating, and less static through the use of the various filters, distortion, noise, beat repeating, panning, and more. Okay, let's take a look at the interface of the plugin. As soon as we open it up, you will see we've got a top section here where we have macro controls. We've got a main output, a dry and wet, and we have got this motion editor. This is kind of where all the action happens here in the section in the middle. We've got things that we can apply to the filter, noise, drive, volume, pan, and then we've got this kind of beat, repeat, rolling, reverse, pitch, time stretching section here. We've got effects we can add on, reverbs, delays, that kind of thing, modulation, dynamic control. You can actually have two instances of that, and you can turn these on and off as you can with all of these sections as well. So absolutely nothing is going to be happening when they are all turned off. There is an advanced section. If you hit this, it will open up bottom part of the plugin, which gives you controls for your macros, which are up here. These are your dials. In fact, you can rename them to whatever you want. By default, they are just macro 1 and macro 2. But when you've got them assigned to something, you can just simply rename them. You've also got some more kind of function generators and things down here. And you've got two of those. In fact, sorry, you've got three. And yeah, you can have so much fun with this. You can kind of do so many cool kind of motion programming within the plugin, essentially. So let's just close the advanced. Let's have a little play with this. I've got, so we shouldn't really hear anything anyway, but I'll just play a arpeggiated pattern here. So this is going through the plugin in real time. I'll turn up dry wet. We're not hearing anything because everything's turned off at the minute. And if let's turn on a filter. And a filter, we can have different types of filtering. So we can have a gritty MS-20 12 dB low pass filter if we wanted to. You can actually hear that introduces a bit of distortion as well, which you may or may not want. If you go to a clean one, it removes that. And yeah, you've got the main cutoff here, and then you've got this motion here. So if we was to just draw something in, which we can just draw something simple like that using this, you will see that that motion is being applied to the filter cutoff. And you can kind of use this as a bias based on your motion. And the less of this you have, the less it interacts. So these kind of act like attenuators or bias. We could just draw things in as well, like using a ramp tool pen. Get things like that very, very quickly. Really interesting sound. If you want to change the rate of that, you can just divide or multiply the clock. This is synced to the DAW. You can change that from clock. You could actually have this sequencer, and it will trigger when it gets to these different places, which can be quite interesting. There are different presets that you can load up for that. Maybe you want to use Euclidean patterns to trigger this when that happens. Maybe you want to use the transient of the audio, you can do that. Or you could use MIDI as well. So you can send MIDI into it, which will trigger that motion that's going along there. Let's just leave it on clock for now. And we can also times it by 2, it'll add more of that if you want to delete any of these, I believe you hold down Command on a Mac, which allows you to select many. You can turn these up or down, kind of move them around a little bit. You can also turn on smoothing, so you get more rounded shapes going on. So you can also have steps if we wanted to. Something like that. Or of course you can have combinations, you know. And already we've got something kind of quite interesting happening. Let's turn on the drive. It looks like when I turn this on, we're going to have some distortion there at the beginning, and then it's going to go down. So let's turn it on. Yeah, so right at the start of the beat, we get that doo, which is quite interesting. Let's maybe add a little bit more of it here. And again, we can use that as a bias, so we can just have subtle amounts of this if we wanted to. And we can run this at a different clock to the filter. So this is running at 2. This we could have running a lot quicker if we wanted to. And of course you're going to get different kind of rhythms and effects and motions going on, depending on how all of these things interact with each other. You can change the tape as well, so you can have wave shaping. You can change the drive, so you can have tape, you can have you know, classic distortions, wave folding, wave shapers. The volume, let's turn that on. Now this is running very, very fast. And we've got volume, and then it's turning it down. So it's kind of almost acting like a very quick tremolo in a way. Let's turn on the noise. It looks like this will add some over time. That's cool. Like it. Of course, dry and wet. There's our dry. Let's just bring in some drums for a little bit of context. In fact, what might be quite interesting, let's apply that to the whole mix. I'm going to just take that plugin, I'm just going to drop it straight on the master. So now it's going to apply to all those drums and everything. Let's see what it's doing to that. In fact, let's go dry, wet. Let's just go dry. Bring it in. So it's kind of interesting. You know, you could use it to create risers and that kind of thing. Let's just try a few more presets while we're here. So there's loads. This comes loaded with all sorts of interesting presets. Let's try some gated rhythms while we're here. Because that kind of works well on a full mix, I think. So yeah, let's just pick some. Totally transforming the mix. But what's really cool is you can actually use this up here to dictate where the effect's being applied in the frequency. So in the frequency content. So you don't have to have this applying to your whole, to all the frequencies. You can just go, right, I just want these effects to be applied to this section here. So we can just turn on the low cut and the high cut if we want to, or just have one or the other. And now it's only going to apply this effect to that section of the frequency content. Depending where you have this. Let's try a different one. So you can hear this is kind of leaving the low end alone. That kick drum's coming through. In fact, there's more of the bass coming through now, so it's leaving this alone. But this area been affected. The high cut isn't on, so it's literally going from, what frequency is that? About 317 Hertz all the way up. Let's turn on the high cut. And now we have our kind of very top end back, but we've got this rhythmic gating going on here in the middle. Cool, eh? Okay, let's take that off the master and let's just stop everything playing for now and let's try it on some other sounds. Not sure what else we've got. Let's have a little play. What's this? Okay. Let's pop it on that and let's turn that on and let's go for something a little bit different. Let's go for some tape stop action. Let's see what happens there. So, I don't know, drop the one. So, what you're hearing there, I believe, is this. We've also got some delay. Let's just turn the delay off and the tape echo. What's going on here is when it gets to beat 1, beat 5, we've got a pitch being altered, -12 and -5. We can also maybe add in some rolls here. So we just click and it adds. Did you hear that? Sorry, I was talking, but just adds that in there. So it's kind of stuttering on rolls on quarter notes, I think that would be. We do this one. If we click and push up and down with our mouse, we can change the division. So we get quarters, 8. Maybe let's do a little stretch on here. I'm not so sure on that. Oh yeah, reverse is quite cool. Let's put that tape echo back on. I really like the sound of the echoes and stuff. I think Arturia as well have really nailed it with the interface. It's so easy to navigate, you know. Literally, once you learn how to use one of these, you can then use all of these. And this is just so easy to use. We've also got this delay we can add. Now, I think this delay is connected to the pitch that happens here. But this is without it. I wonder what that's like on a drum beat. What have we got on this? It's not a drum beat. This looks like a drum beat. Let's put it on that. Really slow. Nice. Put a plug in. Let's also put that plug in on the pad that's playing, just for fun. So that's exactly the same preset applied to drums and the pad. But let's change it on the pad. So let's try a different preset. Let's go for ambience, see what happens with that. Kind of cool. Let's completely change it with the pitch. Oh, we've got some tape stoppage action going on there. try sequence filter. Whoa. That's just taken those delicate strings and we've now got like this acid thing going on. Let's see what else. It's completely changed that. Let's just stop the drum second. That's where we started, remember? The crossfade from the dry wet actually is really nice. You really do get a nice crossover. I think they've really got that nailed. It's little things like that, attention to detail. I think Arturia does this so well. Really nice. Let's just try and figure out what's going on. I mean, you can deconstruct it just by turning these things on. So it sounds like it's this filter, look. Yeah. So that's what's making all that. Got some effects going on here on the repeat effects. Let's have a little play with this. This is interesting because we're using a kind of phaser, sort of like a bandpass kind of sound filter. And we can add more, remember, with our attenuation. Perhaps now I've got a machine gun. Subtle amounts could be really interesting. Just things like that. It's quite interesting. You get this really mad drop at the end there. What happens if we play around some of the rolls on this? What we could do is gradually slow these down. So we go 8, 6, 4, 3, and then 2. That kind of thing. If you want to get rid of these, by the way, you can just, let me remind myself, there we go, hit Control and click, and it just gets rid of whatever's there. So we've got these rolls happening, then we get reverse, then we stretch, then we stop. Let's see what happens with a bit of distortion on this. It's quite nice because they've put in some code which means that you will never get a click because all of the motions line up at the end depending on what you do, which is good. So that's a good fail safe. And let's draw in some something like that. And what effects? Let's maybe have a little bit of reverb, eh? Really nice reverb. I don't know if this is based on the reverbs and the effects that they have separately. very simple. You know, you've got your high pass and a low pass to play with as well, of the reverb. To dial that in, your pre-delay, size, you can get pretty big with this. And we've even got compression if we wanted to, more distortion, bit crushing. Spinning some drums. Maybe let's try some delay again, some tape echo. Stop drums a second so we can hit that tape. You can distort the input into the tape echo, which is ace. And then you can play around with the kind of echoes that you have there. With all of these effects as well, you've got presets here that you can load up and you can save as well. Have them run in stereo, ping pong. If we just dial that back, that's what we started with. Let's put the same effect on something else here. So this is completely dry. Let's bring it in. Some kick drums. Maybe some noise we'll bring in. Almost adds like a percussive element. Clear these. Oops. And some filtering. So this is cool. Got some kind of glitchy drums going on here. This is it dry with it. And we've got some loads of stuff filtering going on. We've got some drive in places. The volume kind of stutters at the end there, turns up and down really quickly. And then yeah, you've got this glitching going on made by the rolling. Some multi-band compression going on as well. And then we've got a bit crusher, and you can see this bit crusher is being automated because you can see actually the bit depth here moving around. So something's automating that or modulating it. And you'll know what that is. Again, Arturia's got this nailed in terms of like the way that they apply very simple user interface and user feedback. So if we go over to the bit depth, we see below these two dials pop up and they tell you what's being applied to that. So we have macro 1 and we have function 3. And to get to those, again, remember, we just hit advanced, opens this up. We have our macros, and then we've got our 3 modulation sources here, which can either be sequences, functions, random, envelope follower. This one's set to function, this one's set to sequence, and this one's set to function. And it's this one that is being applied to the bit depth here. And we could turn that up and make it more extreme. That kind of thing. We can, of course, change this. Something like that. And let's say with, I don't know, this one here, which is sequencer, again, you can change that to function, you can change it to random, change it to whatever. So if we leave it on sequencer, we can take this, we just literally hover over this and it turns into a hand. And then if we go over to, say, drive, we drop it on the drive dial and turn up the amount. And that sequencer is now being applied to that. Let's put some higher values in. That kind of thing. And yeah, you can have loads of fun with these. So this function here, if we hover over it, in fact, it tells you where it's already being applied to. So this is being applied to the sequencer 2 scale. So that'll be being applied to this and a scale of this. So you can actually interact one of these with one of these, which is pretty interesting. But you could also apply that to other things. So what else have we got that we can play around with? Maybe we want to add some noise. So let's take that and whack that onto the noise level. And it just turns it up at the end there. And again, this is what we started with. Let's bring in some kick drums for context. Instead of multi-brand, I'm going to add, again, some reverb. Now, you can reorder these as well. So you can literally grab these and move them. And I believe now what's happening is it goes bit crusher into the reverb and then it's beat repeated. So the beat repeat is now being applied to the reverb and the bit crusher. Again, let me stop the drums. And of course, if we had the reverb at the end like it was, that's being applied to the beat repeat. Let's just put that before the beat repeat. I think that's being applied to that. I believe that's what's going on. So we've put the reverb before the bit crusher. Is that being applied to it? I'm not quite sure. The same thing applies for these. So like if you have the drive before the filter, then I'm guessing the drive then goes into the filter and then it goes into the noise. And if you wanted the volume at the end, then you put the volume at the end. But then you can't move the repeat effects. That always appears to be at the very end, no matter what. So yeah, let's try some other presets. Let's try something with some drums here. So we've got that playing, we've got a bit more of a top line, and then we've got that. So why don't we apply an instance of motions to these individual sections. So let's just do that. So where are we? Let's find our, there it is, sorry. And let's just put that first of all on this one. And let's load up gated rhythm. Pad like it's 97. Okay, as it was. Let's do that. And then let's copy and paste that onto here. And oh, let's make sure we've opened the right one there. And let's choose beat repeat. What's hat rolls? It's quite interesting. Let's go with that. And again, let's copy it onto the main beat. Actually, let's not. Let's bring everything in. It's quite cool. And let's put something on like the kick drum, the low end. Let's close that. Make sure we've opened the right one. And let's go for that's cool. Now we've got something completely different. And just for good measure, I'm going to put that also on the master. So we have an instance on there, an instance on there, an instance on there, and then one on the master. And the master is going to be its own as well. Whoa, unrecognizable. Try risers. So this can be used to kind of create risers in a way. Cool. So we bring in a noise. Whoa. Madness. Oh yeah. That's interesting. Let's just apply it. To that section. It's quite cool. Let's bring in something. Let's put an instance of it on that. And let's go for some slow movement. Let's bypass the master. So you can take this in so many different places. It's a lot of fun to play around with. Yeah, so there we go. Pretty interesting, huh? I really like this. It's got Arturia written all over it. The effects, the reverbs, the delays, all of that sound really, really good. And, you know, for the price you're getting all of this available, you're getting all of this kind of cool movement and stuff. I should add as well that you can copy that. If you like that curve that's happening there, you can actually copy that and send it to the drive. So now it'll be exact copy on the drive. That's really, really cool. Yeah, I still haven't worked out if this does actually change the order of anything. The fact that you can, we didn't really play around with this, but you know, the different ways to trigger these motions, you can get such varied results from that. And then with all these additional advanced functions that you can access down at the bottom as well, it just makes it a very powerful modulation machine, I guess, and can add a lot of movement and changes to any sound, the most simplest sound. I'd love to try this on some vocals as well. I'd like to really try it on some really big, beefy bass lines and things like that as well. If you get this, if you download it, install it, and have play with it, let me know in the comments below how you get on. I've literally just got this, so I'm literally just getting my head around it still as I'm going through this video. So you'll have to excuse me if I haven't covered everything, and if I've got a few things wrong. I haven't really even played around with the dynamics here, where you can set thresholds and stuff like that for things being triggered and that kind of thing. So lots for you to delve into that I haven't played around with for sure. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed or liked this channel or anything like that, and you've enjoyed this, do hit the thumbs up and share and like and all that kind of thing. And it's really appreciated. Cool, thanks for joining me. Bye for now.